the summer, talking about recruiting and said, I hope that, I'm targeting like July 4th as we need to have had some movement. And then that didn't happen that year, but I think we got like 6 commits on like July 5th to 12th. Apparently I was just like a year or two early because like here on July the 3rd, in the interim since I've last been here with you guys in the last 2.5, we'll call them 3 weeks. Whew, buddy, man, this staff has done a whole lot of work on the trail. So it's a beautiful thing to see.
So if we go to the recruiting commandments, is that what you call them? I've heard it so many times. I should have this memorized. The 10
recruiting
rules. The 10 recruiting rules. You get yourself a quarterback every cycle. And Miami did just that in 2026. Although I got to think that the approach is less calculated because it just can't be as calculated as it once was in setting up your quarterback room for succession to succession because of the transfer portal, but it's still important to get them out of high school.
It absolutely is. And I mean, this is the thing that I wrote in the recruiting rules is what with getting a quarterback every year, you're immediately backfilling your room for transitions. We've seen people leave from Miami, Jake Garcia, Jakari Brown, and we've also had transfers in. Tyler Van Dyke even started and left. So the cyclical nature of just player movement now, especially at a position like quarterback, it's really imperative that you have to get one every year because you're preparing for that other person leaving and just having the talents on hand that you need to have the kind of program that you want to run. So in terms of for the future, 2026 just committed maybe about an hour and a half ago. Darion Coleman from Orlando Jones High. Sorry, before I keep going, in the travel shenanigans of last week, I picked up a sinus infection, so I know I sound very nasally to everyone today. I'm so sorry about it. It's like in my headphones now, but
it actually, Cam, brings your voice down to the level of the rest of us humans, is what it does.
Oh, man.
Actually,
I guess so, but yeah, I feel the placement really in my sinuses and everything. So I just wanted to let you know, guys, about that. If it's like, hey, it sounds a little different, I know because yeah. Anyways. Darion Coleman is a kid who flashed at like the Rivals 5-star camp. He was also on campus recently towards the end of June during the camp season at Miami. Spun it really well in front of the coaches. Gabby Arrudia of Inside the U, formerly of State of the U, he put up a picture of Shannon Dawson during the camp standing next to Darion Coleman, who was taking a knee, watching somebody else's reps. So yeah, he put on a show then. In a couple of camp settings, and everything just trended directly towards him committing to Miami. So today is his 17th birthday. So happy birthday to Mr. Coleman. And yeah, so he'll be 17 for his junior year of high school, 18 for his senior year of high school, same age as I was. So it's not a problem or anything. But yeah, he's not like old, but yeah, lithe and athletically built, 6'1", 165, has a very live arm. And I mean, has plenty of athleticism too. So this is a kid who, like I said, definitely through the course of the offseason has seen his stock rise. You see there the 247 composite has him as a 4-star and everything. So yeah, this is a kid that other schools are going to continue to recruit. But Miami led the way and then got the commitment here just earlier this evening, I should say. So yeah, you're already have Luke Nickel in the 25 class leading the way. Then you get Darion Coleman in the 26 class and can continue to build the kind of depth year over year, particularly at the quarterback position, which again, number one on the recruiting rules is you have to have a quarterback every single year. And if you don't think that in a couple weeks' time, when the college football 25 video game comes back, I won't recruit like that, I live my raps, guys. Like I always was getting quarterbacks, and I know I'll probably have some transfer out or try to, bridge a gap year or something like that. But yeah, I know that Miami has not necessarily had super duper great quarterbacks, but even if you look elsewhere, and I mean, I'm going to go to another team in the ACC that wears orange, but I've talked about them before, Clemson. They had quarterbacks every single year, and I know that they had like a generational quarterback here and there. And then you had the 1 year of Kelly Bryant. But before that, or at the same time that they had Kelly Bryant on the roster, they recruited 5-star Hunter Johnson in front of Trevor Lawrence, right? And then they recruited 5-star Trevor Lawrence. And now Hunter Johnson clearly wasn't ready for prime time. You had Chase Bryce. I mean, he ended up going in that game, but he was a 4-star guy and everything. But he played because Sunshine got knocked out of that game. But those names right there in that 1 year span of Kelly Bryant, Hunter Johnson, Chase Bryce, and then Trevor Lawrence being in the room at the same time, that's the kind of talent acquisition you want to have. So in your 4 quarterbacks in the room, you have guys both for now and for the future. And I think that with getting, Luke in this class and then following him up with Darion Coleman, Miami is setting themselves up in that same kind of way to build the kind of championship caliber roster that everyone desires.
All right. 2026 sounds great, but it sounds like a long, long ways away. It's truly not. It just sounds that way. So people are a little bit more interested in 2025. And of course, those commits will be on campus very soon if the commitment holds and they sign in December. And there's a whole bunch of them from the past week or two.
Yeah, there's a lot. So, again, like I was talking about, I'm very confident in this staff. Over the summer, they had a lot of official visits. There's plenty of chatter of positive movement with a lot of guys. Excuse me. But yeah, there have been plenty of commits. So I'm going to run down pretty quickly. We're going to go just straight down from the top of the list. The number one top ranked player in this class, top 100, Gavin Nix from IMG Academy. Linebacker, 6'2", 225. Athletic, strong. He's definitely downhill run stuffer. He's another guy who, when he was at, I think it was like Highland Lakes or Lake Highland, as a freshman, he camped at Miami, and even as a 9th grader, looked like and played as well as some of the rising seniors a few years ago. So this is a big get. I know Florida and Florida State thought that they were getting Gavin Nix. I don't know why, because it was pretty clear that he was coming to Miami from everything that I saw. But hey, they got their hopes up and had them dashed again, which puts a smile on my face. So yeah, Gavin Nix, that's a big get, and I know that we missed out on the number 1 linebacker in this class, but I think pivoting with the group that we have at this point now is a pretty great one. So I'm going to skip down. So we already had lots of names. Elijah Melendez from Kissimmee Osceola committed, and then we got Gavin Nix. But before we got Gavin Nix, right at the beginning of my vacation, we had Ezekiel Marcelin from Miami Central, who I believe was at Miami Norland previously. But Marcelin is a typical Haitian last name, so maybe I'm getting him mixed up with either somebody from work or another player. But he's another guy who's 6 foot, around 200 pounds, who's committed at the linebacker position. So with Melendez, Marcelin, and Nix, now I think that you have a solid, if unspectacular, group of 3 linebackers in this class. Went, kind of shot our shot with the 5-star, didn't get that, and then said, okay, we're going to really put the pressure on Nix, got him, got Marcelin as well. Clearly as a fallback plan from like the number 1 linebacker in the country, but that's okay. And yeah, so you have that group committed now, and both Marcelin and Nix have committed within the last couple of weeks, on June the 23rd and then July the 1st, respectively. Going back in time a little bit further, then just in front of Marcelin, his teammate at Miami Central, safety Amari Wallace, committed on June the 20th, so a couple days after my vacation had started. A 4-star guy who everybody in America wanted, could have really chosen his place. Saw a lot of players and former players talking about it on social media. Jaquan Johnson, Cam Kinchins, excuse me, it was Cam Kinchins, not Jaquan Johnson, but Cam Kinchins quote tweet and say, yeah, let's go Mari, keeping your talents at the crib, things like that. And yeah, all-American kind of player, 5'10", 175, but can pretty much do it all in the secondary. Plays for Raw 7-on-7, as you see in the picture there, and is one of their standout players, and also at Miami Central, which has had no shortage of standout play for them. So back-to-back commits from Miami Central, and Marcelin and Wallace in this class, Armando Blunt in the previous class, and plenty of other guys coming on down to the U from there previously. So adding him is a huge get. And I know that we do need secondary players in this class. So getting Amari Wallace to stay home is a big win for the coaching staff as well. And that's Lance Guidry, the defensive coordinator, leading the charge there in his recruitment as the safeties coach, as well as defensive coordinator. In terms of cornerback, love to see getting very talented corners. Shout out to Chavez Jackson for his recruitment, or hopping in with the squad from Chaminade Madonna Prep. Chris Ewald, another 4-star All-American. If he continues to develop physically and performance-wise, I think that there's a shot for him to potentially touch 5-star status. It might take a little bit of work, but this is a guy who's at Chaminade, through all their run and everything. So Jojo Trader, the artist known as number 4, wide receiver who went somewhere else, where he was going against them every day in practice. This is a spectacular player, big, long arms. Is able to, play pretty much any kind of coverage style that you would like. Huge get. You beat Georgia head up for Chris Ewald. If that doesn't speak to the caliber of player that we're talking about, I don't know what else to tell you. Like, Georgia are, if not the biggest, baddest dogs on the block, they're top 2 or 3 on the field and in the recruiting world. And to have, to go head up against them for an All-American type player like Chris Ewald is a huge step forward. And I mean, yeah, could his ranking be higher and could it be all of those things? Yeah, but I'm not going to overlook it. I'm not going to understate how big a win that is, especially with the dearth of talent at this position. It was really imperative that we kept Chris Ewald home, and to be able to close that out in June, really a big recruiting win. I think that he has potential to end up at or near the top of this class in terms of ranking. I think his potential is through the roof to play early and to have a standout career here. This is a really special player, and this is the one of all. Well, him and Amari Wallace. Those are the 2 that have committed recently that really perked up my attention, even to the point where, like, I made it a point while I was on vacation, literally sitting on the beach in Aruba, that I saw that he committed at the time. Oh yeah, P.S. by the way, I went to Aruba. I said I would tell you guys afterwards. So yeah, and that's just for personal safety, not telling where I am in real time, because I've seen bad things happen. But yeah, went to Aruba for a week, had a beachfront room, oceanfront, literally 6 steps from the back patio to the Caribbean Sea. It was spectacular. But even with that happening, even reading my book and kicking back, maxing, relaxing, all cool, I still had my phone and said, "Oh, Chris Ewald, we made that happen." That's how impactful I believe that this commitment is. So that was another commitment that happened in the last couple of weeks. Last couple, Herb Scroggins the third, defensive end, stand-up 3-4 outside backer from Savannah, Georgia, the Benedictine Military Academy, committed the next day from Chris Ewald on the 28th. And so you just keep that going. This is a kid who, again, teams all over the Southeast were looking to recruit, but his recruitment trended strongly in Miami's way. 6'2", 235, and looks every bit of it. Didn't play games. He has that very upright military academy posture. And I say that with a family member who went to West Point. Like, you can see it, right? He just said, appreciate you all being here. Straight and direct to the point. For the next continuation of my career, I will be going to the University of Miami. Well, there was no games or shenanigans to be played. So I love that mentality from him, and hopefully he continues to play strongly on the field as well. This is a kid who's known for wrecking opposing offenses. If we look in his, they don't have the stats on there. There have been so many commitments that I actually don't remember all of the stats, and I cannot keep them straight. But on the 247 composite, there's another 4-star guy. So I do believe that his ranking on 247 proprietary rankings, and then on 3 and others, will be going up as well. So this is a good evaluation. This is a good get for the staff. And then rounding it out, Miami said, look, we are going to continue to add to our offensive line class. So they hit a trio of offensive linemen. First, Demetrius Campbell from Orlando Christian Prep, 6'6", 300 pounds, on the 18th. Then Jaden Wilkerson from Orlando Edgewater, 6'6", 330 on the 19th. And then Max Buchanan from Sanford Seminole on June 26th, 6'4", 275. So you have tackle types, you have guard types. Max Buchanan made me laugh when I saw it, but I believe his claim to fame that he self-claimed is he's the first official visitor ever to have taken the Bright Line train from Orlando to South Florida for his official visit. IDK if I would be as excited about that as he would. But I mean, look, he posted with, hey, and maybe he's setting up a future NIL deal. Like, look, if you're talking about taking this train from South Florida to Central Florida for your Disney trips, for your family vacations, just for a little getaway, I did it. Be like me, Max Buchanan, who rode the Bright Line. Like I said, I don't know that I would necessarily be as excited about that.
You practically wrote it for him. Well,
I mean, hey, look, I'm a wordsmith, if nothing else, Mark. Come on now. So, yeah, this is a kid, another 4-star on 247 Sports composite rankings. And then that brings Miami to having 4 total offensive linemen in this class, with TK Muix from Duncan U. Fletcher already having been committed. And then SJ Alofalili. No, I'm getting the name wrong. Offensive lineman from Brevin Jordan High School, Bishop Gorman. There we go. Sorry, out there in Las Vegas. He is planning, I believe, to commit this week, and it looks like it is trending towards being Miami for the pick there. And that would give 5 offensive line. Susu Alofatuli, excuse me. He goes by SJ. So, yeah, I believe he's set a commitment date. This is a number 55 in the country, number 2 at his position, interior offensive lineman. So, yeah, that would work. And remember when I said, and we were talking about classes and things, this is a year that Miami needed to invest in offensive line 2 years on from getting Mauanoa and Pancake Okunlola. And if and when we get SJ Alofatuli, that'll be 5 guys in this class to go with 4 guys last class to go with that superstar class 3 years ago, or coming up on 3 years ago now, into the world of recruiting. So, yeah, offensive line is something where we're looking at. And then just to, put a bow in it, Jose Epinesa, if you remember AJ Epinesa, who went to Iowa. Miami was a finalist for his services then. Jose, spelled IOSE, is his younger brother, but he's a top 15 player in the country. Miami's after him. Also DJ Pickett, like the number 1 defensive back in the country. And also Elijah Griffin, also from Savannah Christian Prep, who's like a top 5 player in the country. But it would be a huge, huge, huge recruiting win to beat Georgia for Elijah Griffin. But we've already beat them heads up once for a superstar recruit this year. We'll see if we can do it again. Shout out Falconer TRX for, let me throw the X up, hold on. There we go, for the question. Does Miami land DJ Pickett? My gut says yes. They're doing a really great job recruiting him. He's come out in interviews, asked open-endedly, what is the standing of the teams in your recruitment? And Miami has continuously been at the forefront of that. And it matters that it's an open-ended question. And I know that there's so many of us who are journalists or bloggers or things and have a viewpoint, but it's a worst practice to say, oh yeah, Cam Underwood from Dogs Illustrated, tell me about no, bro. Like, hey, I know you're going through recruitment. There's a lot of teams out here. Who are the couple teams who are standing out to you? And when you ask that, that's when you really see who it is. Don't feed it to them. Let them, because if they say, again, think about if you're dating, right? It's like, hey, been on a couple dates with a couple people recently. Like, who's standing out to you, right? It could be, Jill, Karen, and Susan, right? But if you're like, oh, I was thinking it might be da 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 da. I didn't bring up any of these other ones. They're not at the front of my brain. Same thing in the world of recruiting, which again is all relationship building, and I know it's different than interpersonal dating, right? But still, if I ask you open-endedly, tell me the teams at the top of your list. Oh man, I love coach here. I love coach there. I love coach. Oh yeah, da 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 da. Oh, okay. Now you can follow up and say, that's really interesting. Okay, well, thanks for, that. Also, I know that you've gone on an unofficial visit to Oregon. I saw that you were in Texas A&M before. Are they in part of that group? Now you might get a yeah, or they've fallen off or whatever. But when you ask open-ended and then the teams are on the tongue of the recruit, if that's something that they mention without being specifically prompted because of your affiliation or fandom, I think that really speaks to where their mindset is. And that's been the case with DJ Pickett. And, again, he's a Miami legacy. He's had several family members here. I believe there's a family member committed in this class. And yeah, so we're going to push strongly for him. And I am hopeful that Miami does sign him. I think, that we will. But I mean, there's a long way to go.